years ago, I wrote a book called How to Break Up With Your Phone. And this was for personal reasons. I was spending too much time on my phone. I'm sure that no one can relate with that at all. Which made itself obvious to me when I had a baby, and I had these moments where she would be looking up at me, and I would be looking down at my phone. Needless to say, that made me feel very bad about a lot of things. So I decided I needed to change. I have a tendency to turn personal issues into professional projects, and so I wrote this book. So it looks at the science of what our screen time is doing to us, and it also offers a plan to take back control. I followed that plan myself, and I'm happy to report that it did work. I ended up creating a much better relationship with technology and reclaiming a lot of time I previously been spending looking down at my screens. But lest I get too excited and proud of myself for that, I didn't realize it would open up a whole new problem. And that problem was what to actually do with that reclaimed time. And what I realized is I'd gotten so used to allowing my time to be filled by whatever was on my phone that I'd kind of lost sight of how I wanted to be spending my own time. And I realized that I think like a lot of people, I'd gotten used to constantly doing, or at least constantly scrolling, but I didn't feel like I was necessarily living. I felt kind of like I was busy to the point of exhaustion, but I also felt a bit dead inside, as if I were languishing. Kind of like, you know, you're so busy, but is this all there is? So I don't know if anyone has felt that way themselves, but again, I tried to turn that into a professional project. So I decided that really, I think a lot of us do know that deep down inside, that there's something that feels like it's missing, but we don't know what to do about it. So that was my next book, was The Power of Fun, my attempt to answer that question, what to do about it. And as that perhaps makes clear, my conclusion, and what I'm here to talk to you about today, is that the answer is that we need to have more fun. Yes, yes, person in the front row. So if you did not just clap, and if you're kind of like, oh God, what is she talking about? That could be for a couple of reasons. I think one of them is that we tend to use the word fun really casually when we say fun in our everyday speech. So we'll use the word fun to apply to a wide range of things that actually aren't that fun. So you might say that if you're scrolling through social media and it's for fun, but I think we all know that ultimately that kind of makes us feel bad about pretty much everything, you know? Or I've certainly found myself saying things like, oh my God, that was so fun, we should do that again soon, in response to things that weren't fun, and that I don't want to do again, ever. But I would say I don't really think that's our fault because there's not a very good agreed upon definition of what fun is. So in preparation for doing talks about fun, I tried to do a Google image search of fun to see if I could find any images to support my words on stage. And this, I'm not making this up, is one of the top hits that came up. And I just want to give you all a second to look at that, because even if you've never in your life before this moment thought critically about the word fun, I think we all can agree that with the possible exception of the woman in the sunglasses, it's not fun. It's, in fact, it's very confusing. But the thing is that even more credible sources, like the dictionary, don't really get fun right. So when I looked fun up in the dictionary, it said it was amusement or enjoyment or lighthearted pleasure, something for kids to have in in play areas, which really made it sound to me like it was frivolous and it was optional. But then I started to do some research, and I collected stories from thousands of people around the world on moments from their own lives that stood out to them as having been, in the words of my scientific survey here, so fun. And I actually suggest that you do this yourself, is just think back on something that stands out to you as having been so fun. It became quickly obvious there was something much deeper going on, because when people told me about these moments in which they'd had the most fun, they really were telling me about some of the most joyful and meaningful memories from their whole lives. So in reality, fun is not just lighthearted pleasure. It's not just for kids, and it is definitely not frivolous. Instead, it's actually the secret to feeling alive. So today, my goals for our time together are threefold. I want to propose to you a new definition of fun that I think is a lot more accurate than what you'll find in the dictionary. I want to reveal some of the ways in which it is actually astonishingly good for us, both mentally and physically, not just emotionally. And I also want to give you some suggestions that you can use today, starting ideally as soon as we leave this room, to experience its power for yourselves.